Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel, Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are in my video. If you enjoy this kind of deep dive, give it a like, hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support our work even more, you can click the join button below. Thank you, and now, let's get into tonight's story. It happened on a night when the set lights felt harsher than usual, the kind of night where even seasoned crew members move quietly, hoping the scene lands in one take. Instead, a highly anticipated series became the stage for an off-script surge of emotion that no one was prepared to manage. What should have been a routine day of shooting spiraled into a standoff that stopped production in its tracks, and at the center of it were Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel. The moment unfolded during a sequence that demanded poise, timing, and a delicate emotional pitch. Minutes before rolling, the director presented a last-minute variation, an unexpected stretch of improvisation intended to sharpen the authenticity between the leads. It sounded exciting on paper. On set, it became the trigger. According to people present, Barış introduced a shift, small to some eyes, seismic to others. Whether it was the tone of a line, a gesture that strayed from rehearsal, or a change in blocking that altered the rhythm of the moment, his choice collided with Yağmur's preparation. Witnesses say her expression shifted almost imperceptibly at first. Then something in her composure cracked. She took a step back, took another, and, with her script clenched in trembling fingers, she left mid-take. No raised voice, no theatrics, just the quiet shock of a scene partner walking out while cameras were still warm. Within seconds, the studio fell into a stunned hush. The buzz of clipped voices in headsets, the shuffling of grips and camera operators, the director's hand hovering over the talkback, everything froze. You could feel it, a line had been crossed. The director, reading the room and sensing the depth of what had just happened, called a halt. This wasn't a pause for technical checks or lighting tweaks. It was a recognition that whatever had erupted between the two people carrying the show couldn't be brushed aside between takes. The crew dispersed into little islands of whispers. Doors closed softly down the corridor. Yağmur, eyes stinging and voice low, retreated to her dressing room and refused to continue. Those who follow Barış and Yağmur know they're not just co-stars, they're a couple whose chemistry has been the anchor of both their public image and their professional momentum. Maybe that's why this hit the team so hard. In the days leading up to the incident, subtle signs had begun to surface, rehearsals conducted at opposite ends of the room, a coolness at table reads, the two of them moving like parallel lines during lunch breaks. On-screen harmony was holding, but off-screen, something felt misaligned. Depending on who you ask, it was either artistic tension between a more instinctive, risk-embracing Barış and a meticulously prepared, detail-driven Yağmur, or the exhaustion of a shared life colliding with the relentless grind of a set. After the walkout, official channels clamped shut. Representatives and the production company released a single, pared-down statement. What happened was strictly an internal matter and there would be no further comment at this time. The words were careful. They also had the opposite effect. Within minutes, social media lit up. Yağmur's name trended as fans posted screenshots, speculative threads, and shaky, distant clips from outside the soundstage gates. The internet, always hungry for meaning, turned a half-formed story into 1,000 competing narratives. And then there was Barış's silence. For some, he was being measured and responsible, resisting the urge to post a rushed explanation that might inflame tensions. For others, the quiet read as indifference. The debate burned overnight. Was his ad-lib a deliberate provocation? A moment of creative impulse that landed wrong? Or was everything magnified by fatigue, the kind of bone-deep weariness that makes small missteps feel like betrayals? No one could confirm a single version, and that uncertainty gave the speculation room to grow. Behind closed doors, the production company held an emergency meeting to map out their options. People familiar with that room describe a whiteboard filled with contingencies. They considered bringing in a professional mediator to help the couple recalibrate boundaries. They weighed rescheduling any sequences requiring intense rapport, hoping time would cool tempers. They floated the idea of rewriting certain scenes to reduce the amount of emotionally charged, simultaneous work until a long-term solution could be found. And then there was the suggestion no one wanted to make out loud but couldn't avoid, if the rift deepened, one of the leads might have to be replaced. That possibility sent a chill through the team. Swapping a lead this late would be catastrophic for continuity, marketing, and the story itself, which had been built around the magnetism of Barış and Yağmur. The creative risks were only part of the calculation. There were also schedules carved in granite, contracts with penalties, promotional partnerships expecting timely deliverables. Every paused hour meant overtime for some, cancellations for others, and costs that migrate through a production like dominoes. Technicians, extras, makeup artists, drivers, people whose livelihoods hinge on a timetable, now faced an indefinite question mark. The company tried to seal leaks. Still, whispers traveled. Some crew members argued for a private, swift reconciliation, a backstage agreement with new guardrails, coaching, and protocols designed to prevent misunderstandings on set. Others warned that patchwork fixes without real change would crumble the next time a scene veered into sensitive territory. From a creative standpoint, the room was divided. Rewriting scenes to diffuse tension might buy time but could dilute the narrative. Audiences had fallen for the very intensity, now putting pressure on the actors. Meanwhile, the fan community turned the incident into a rolling conversation that moved from forums to fan cams to late-night spaces. Longtime supporters defended both, insisting that the couple's bond would outlast a rough day at work. Critics cited the thin line between private life and performance, arguing that mixing the two always leaves a production vulnerable. Some threads veered into territory no one needs, personal attacks, defending one favorite by attacking the other, only adding noise to an already delicate situation. Coverage spilled over into broader discussions. Commentators framed the episode as a case study in the ethics of workplace dynamics when love and labor intersect. They talked about the pressure of perpetual visibility, about how improvisation, when one actor's creative leap feels like another's sudden drop, requires not just talent but trust. People pulled up old interviews where Barış spoke about chasing truth in a scene and where Yağmur said preparation is her anchor. The contrast felt newly loaded. At Secrets Behind the Stars, we're following every beat as it develops, and we want to hear from you. Was Yağmur's reaction understandable in the context of a surprise shift during an emotionally demanding take? Should a production guarantee real resources for emotional support, coaching, decompression spaces, on-set mediators, especially when personal relationships and high-stakes storytelling overlap? Tell us below. Subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and ring the bell so you won't miss what comes next. Like, share your perspective, and if you want deeper, steady coverage, hit join for exclusive breakdowns and behind-the-scenes insights. What happens in the coming days will be decisive. A transparent, empathetic response, one that acknowledges both artistry and human limits, could cool the fire and let the production move forward with stronger foundations. If, however, silence hardens into a wall or choices get made in the dark, this one incident could widen into a full-blown crisis. Right now, official quiet competes with a digital storm, fragments of information, conflicting testimonies, and questions without answers that keep everyone perched on the edge of their feeds. It's worth remembering that beyond the business metrics and creative ambition are people who show up to work with real feelings, histories, and thresholds. Barış and Yağmur have carried a story on their shoulders while living one of their own. If this industry wants to keep building sustainable sets and lasting partnerships, it needs to take care of the humans who make the magic happen. Otherwise, conflicts like this will keep erupting at the worst possible moments, eroding both quality and continuity. Let us know what you think about the responsibilities of production companies in situations like this. Is reconciliation not only possible but necessary? Or is this a sign that the system needs structural change to accommodate the real, tender edges of human collaboration? Drop your thoughts below and join the discussion. As updates land, Secrets Behind the Stars will be here with clear, respectful coverage and careful analysis. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and support our work with a like. For more in-depth and exclusive content, extended breakdowns, curated timelines, and guided community chats, click join. Stay tuned, there are still chapters left to be written, and we at Secrets Behind the Stars will bring them to you first. Before we close, a few more details shaped the contours of that night. People in the control room say the director's improvisation note was framed as an invitation, not an instruction. From Barry's perspective, stepping into that space may have felt like honoring the ask, chasing that fleeting moment where fiction feels like life. But for Yağmur, who had been carrying a scene that required precise emotional cues, the deviation felt like walking onto moving ground. In a partnership, on screen or off, timing is everything. When timing misfires, even love can't make the floor feel steady. There were quiet knocks at her door. A makeup artist sat nearby, saying nothing, just keeping presence. A production assistant, young and nervous, ferried tea from the kitchen and left it untouched. A few meters away, Barry stood in a hallway that had never seemed so long, his phone idle in his hand, his reflection ghosted in the black glass of a darkened monitor. He didn't post. He didn't pace. He waited. Later, a coordinator led a small meeting in a dim corner of the set, outlining the protocol if filming remained paused, rearrange the call sheet, bump a guest star's scene, extend the location permit, negotiate with extras for a shifted day, contact the transport team about shuttles, renegotiate catering. These are the unglamorous seams of a glamorous industry, the parts fans never see, the practical consequences of a moment most people will only ever know as a headline. By morning, a few things were clear. The script would be reviewed for potential rearrangements. A mediator was being considered. And both stars had been advised to hold statements until they could speak from a place of careful resolve rather than raw nerves. Those who love them wanted reassurance, those who doubt them wanted fracture. The truth, as it often does, sat somewhere in the middle. If you've followed their rise, you know these two have always balanced contrast. He leans into impulses that crack open a scene. She builds architecture around feeling so it can stand. When those differences braid together, the result is lightning. When they pull against each other, sparks scatter. All of this is part of why their work matters to fans, part of why this moment set alarms ringing. Will they come back stronger? Will the show make space for new boundaries without losing its pulse? Will the industry learn that the cost of ignoring emotional maintenance is higher than a scheduling delay? We'll be right here, bringing you answers as they come. Until then, remember, stories like this are never only about what happens on camera. They're about what it takes for people to meet each other in the truth of a scene, and in the tenderness of real life. Thank you so much for watching my video on Secrets Behind the Stars. See you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.